you guys are doing well. Today we're going to be doing lesson 12 and only the highlighted problems. So the question asks how much more to $100, and this question is kind of confusing. So what it's trying to ask is how much more do we need to add to $84.45 to get to $100? And what you want to do, how would we get this value right here? This value right here, we get it by subtracting $84.45 from both sides. And so I already set up the equation right here. $100 minus $84.45. And this is just a review, but when you subtract or add, you want to align the numbers by place values. So 84, the 8 in 84 is the tens place, and the 4 in 84 is the ones place, correct? And that's why I lined it up. 8 goes to the tens place in 100, which is a 0, the first 0, and 4, which is the ones place, goes to the second 0 of 100, which is the ones place. And now we don't want to put the 84, we don't want to put the 84 here. We don't want to put the 84 here because that would mean, because this is the tenths place and this is the hundredths place with a th. So because this is confusing, whenever you have decimals of any kind in addition or subtraction, you want to align them to their respective place values. So now we're just going to go to subtraction. This is basic review. We can't do this, so we need to borrow from the 1, right? The 1 becomes a 0, and the 0 becomes a 10, and then we need to borrow. Let me just write this again on the bottom. So let's see, 100 minus 84.45, and so we want to borrow from the 1, 0, and that makes a 10, 0 a 10, but we still can't do this, right? We want to start from this side. We can't do 0 minus 5 though, so we need to borrow from this too. 10 becomes a 9, and then the 0 becomes a 10, but we still can't do this, so we still need to borrow from this 10 right here, which becomes a 9, this becomes a 10, and we still can't do this, so we need to borrow from the 10, make it a 9, this becomes a 10. So now we can subtract, right? Because we can do 10 minus 5. 10 minus 5 is 5, 9 minus 4 is 5. Bring down the decimal. 9 minus 4 is 5, 9 minus 8 is 1, and 0 is just 0. So this is $15.55. Don't ever forget the labels in this case. That's the answer. So now we're moving on to the next page. Find the missing numbers in the pattern. So, this clearly goes from 5 to 10, and from 25 to 30. Now, how are they getting from 5 to 10 and 25 to 30? Well, how much do you need to add to 5 to get to 10? You need to add 5. And how much do you need to add to 25 to get to 30? 5. And this is a pattern. A pattern is basically repeating the same thing. And so we're just adding 5 to each thing. That is a pattern. So if we add 5 to 10, we get 15 here. Let me just try to fit that in here. And if we add 5 to 15, we get 20. And that's our answer. And now we're going to be moving on to the next question, review multiplication. This is just review, but as we said, when you're doing any form like addition, subtraction, multiplication, you want to align the numbers up with their respective places. So 2, it's just a ones place, right? But when you're doing 12, the 1 in 12 is a tens place, correct? And the 2 in 12 is a ones place. So we align it up. You put the 2 underneath the 2 in 12 because 2 is the ones 2 is the ones place, and the 2 and 12 is also the ones place. So whenever we do multiplication, we treat it like how we do addition and subtraction. So we do the right first. 2 times 2 is 4, and then we go diagonal. Let me change the color so we can see clearly. Okay. And then we go diagonally. So if we do 2 times 1, we get 2. And we forget about this 2 here because we already multiplied it to 2, correct? So now the answer is just 24. Okay, now we're moving on to the last set of questions, word problems. Mrs. Kim drew a bar graph of the colors that children liked during class. The vertical columns mentions the number of students, and the horizontal column mentions the colors. So, we're going to be doing number 2 today, how many students like purple and red. And I love this chart because it already has all the colors set out for you. So purple is purple and red is red. And whenever we're looking at bar graphs, what I like to do is to draw a line from the bar to the y-axis, because then we can clearly see what values each thing is. So for purple, I would say it's, you know what, actually, let me make this a little neater. I can actually do a line here. So for purple, for red, there were 30 students, right? And for purple, there are 10 students. And it's asking how many students like purple and red. And how I knew this is I drew a line from the red bar, from the top of the red bar to the number, and from the top of the purple bar to the 10, to the number here. And so there's 30 students who like red and 10 students who like purple, correct? Oops. So, but that is just how many students like, but that's just how many students like purple, or how many students like red and how many students like purple. But we need to know how many students like purple and red. The important word here is and. So we need to add 10 and 30 together, because remember, 30 students like red and 10 students like purple, and together that's 40 students in total like purple and red. And that's it. Hope this helped.